Welcome Nottingham to the Nottingham Board of Selectmen's meeting for January 27th, 2025. We'll start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have two appointments on our agenda, one at 6:45, one at 7, so we'll briefly go through our payroll and the minutes, and then we'll probably go right into the first appointment. If there's any problems with that? Nope. Okay. Anybody want to make a,
Make a motion? Make a motion to approve the manifest, accounts payable and payroll of 1/21/2025.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes?
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from 1/6/2025, both public and non-public.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, let's do the boards and committees. Let's just get through everything. Let's go right through. We had a planning board meeting last week on Wednesday, about a 2-lot subdivision going on Stevens Hill Road, closer towards the Deerfield line of Stevens Hill Road. One lot was a 2-acre lot, and the other lot was just over 2 acres, and the other lot was like 22 acres. That was a big parcel. They did have a site walk, because there was some wetlands areas, that they wanted to look at. And I'm sure everything else will go fine for the next time for that. And then we went over some quick little housekeeping things. And then there was some discussion afterwards, when we were doing our roundtable at the end of the meeting. But it was fairly quick, so. But they will be looking for, anybody out there want to join the planning board? In case you're not doing anything, there should be 3 seats open, I think, for this upcoming year. So if you want to go volunteer and sign up, we have sign-ups until Friday, so you can put your name on that ballot. It's been a great experience for me to be on it for when I did my 6-year terms and then my, I think, 3 years during this realm. So you definitely get a feel of what's going on in town by being on that board. So that was it for mine, for the planning. Anybody else?
Budget committee wrapped up the public hearings 2 weeks ago and got the deliberative on Friday. I mean, it's Saturday, not Friday, Saturday. And then rec department, the Friends of Nottingham Park and Rec, which is a separate nonprofit that's supporting the rec. They're holding a fundraiser on March 8th, and you can get the details on the rec website on the right-hand side. But it's a UNH versus UMass hockey game. The tickets are $15 a piece. Their goal is to sell 100. And the Nottingham elementary school choir will actually be singing the national anthem at the game too. So it's kind of a cool event. And then they're having their first Puzzle Palooza event. Puzzle Palooza.
What is that?
I'm going to tell you what that is right now. On Friday, March 13th, it's the first time they've done this, but it's basically speed puzzling. You'll have a 500-piece puzzle. You can have a team of 4 people. Prizes go to the top 3 teams that finish first, second, third time.
Is that the library or the?
It takes me 3 weeks to do a 500-piece puzzle, so I don't know how I could plan to do it in one night. But yes, no, it's going to be here, Steve.
Is everybody doing the same puzzle?
Yes. And I've asked Courtney for a copy of the puzzle, and she will not give it to me. That's not going to be possible. But, so a couple of cool events coming up. I think it's pretty cool. The Nottingham Elementary School Choir is going to be singing the national anthem. The UNH game. It's
Exciting.
Good for those guys. Don, you want to come up a couple minutes early? Yeah. Sure. We're going to start our first appointment a couple minutes early. Moderator Don Fernald is here. This conversation will be about deliberation session prep. Deliberation will be held here at the Nottingham Town Hall in the gymnasium. It will not be at the school. Voting will be at the school.
Nope.
But, no, we're having that here too? Sheesh.
Where did they get down there?
Yeah, scratch that.
Few chance.
Go back. Deliberation's gonna be here this Saturday, and we're gonna talk about Don with that right now.
Are you gonna be here in the building?
Yes.
Correct.
That's new, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I was mentioning it, because
That's like big news. Front page.
So as always, I just like to sit down with all of you and figure out just the style you're going with, how you're presenting warrant articles, who would like to present them, so that I'm not up there going, anybody? So, yeah, exactly. Don't know if you all have already discussed that, or this is how we're discussing it, so, yes, you already
It's
know.
on the topics of things to accomplish tonight.
Oh, well, perfect, okay, so, oh,
usually we hand you, after we discuss it tonight, we'll have you that list to you. It says who's reading what as
Okay.
we go through.
So you
That's-
wanna do that
That's
right
the
now?
past way we've done it in the years, is we've
Okay.
just sat around as
how
the
did
board.
we end up pinched this year? I was like,
It
what's
was,
happening?
it was the Monday holiday last week. I think last year we postponed to the Tuesday following the holiday, and this year we postponed an entire week, which is also the deadline for posting.
Gotcha. But I feel
So-
like the deadline for posting is right on top of deliberative too
Yes.
somehow. I was like, are we always there?
5 days prior.
We always there on top of it? Okay.
It is
So-
crunched.
So you're not really ready for me. Is what I'm hearing.
Well, I mean, it was news to me that's if you wanted to, I mean,
I think last year we did it towards the end of one of our meetings, we just kind
Yeah,
of broke
we-
out
Yeah.
which warrant articles we're gonna, and then I think.
who was gonna read it?
Giving it to you.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So overhead presentations for anything, or you,
That is the plan.
that is the plan.
I plan to do another PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, great.
To at least contain the warrant articles, and then we'll probably have some filler additional information to help support them.
Okay. Anything, so one thing I did think of, as I do every week before I prep by watching every other town in the state's meetings, because it's super exciting. My very first meeting, I think it was the last time we really had zoning articles, and the town administrator at the time said, we don't discuss those because nobody can amend them. And then I felt bad in retrospect because the planning board chair was there. I don't know if that's really your decision, mine. I feel like it's kind of collaborative. If we feel like, I a little bit also still feel like it's a little bit of a value to the voter if the planning board's getting up, especially where there's like a lot of crossouts and red lines of like what the intention is. In watching a meeting today, Barrington had 20 zoning ordinances and they were their first 20 articles, and then they had another 21. I know. So what the moderator did right off the bat, since they can't be amended, was he voted to move all of those zoning articles to the end, which maybe that's a strategy for us so that they can at least still get discussed for those people who want more information on them, but those people who want to be there to amend and vote on the things they can amend and vote, then it might not get too long-winded. So
So you want us to basically, you think it's a good idea for us to start with Article 7?
I think, I mean, at this point, can you rearrange the numbering?
I believe you can, because
Oh.
the intention of deliberative session is to technically act on Article 7 through whatever the last one be, whether it's 26 or...
Yeah.
So my understanding is the planning board hearing is the appropriate time to discuss those amendments, and
Yep.
unfortunately, when the planning board held their hearing on the zoning amendments, there was no public attendance,
I
so...
know. So that's why, and I guess it's like a style thing for each different person, like, I just was brand new, and he's like, no, we don't talk about these, go over it, and then I was like, oh, poor Ed, sitting there all ready to like tell us about them, so I felt really bad. So I don't know, do you feel like it's something we should offer the voters or not to do that, and can we either officially move them into the end, or I am happy to just make the motion if we can't officially rework them, so they're the last four
I think it's up
articles.
to you. I mean, I think that it would,
I thought they had to be numbered towards the beginning.
the zoning amendments,
Yeah.
they are. They're the first.
Can't change the numbering, but we can
We
change the
can't-
order.
Right, that's what I didn't know, if you could or not, because I was like, well,
Right,
maybe
well,
they
that's
would
what
have
I thought you
smartly
were
done
asking
that.
to see if we could
Yes.
renumber them.
Yes.
We can't renumber them.
No, you
That
can't
was-
renumber them, but you can change them. You can address Articles 7 through 26 and then go back to have
Right.
topic of discussion on the zoning amendments for anybody that is looking for information.
So that's what I figure I'd do, as long as it didn't,
And ask if anybody wants the discussion.
right,
Right.
right.
If they do,
And
we'll
they may
discuss
not.
it.
Exactly.
And if nobody gives a,
But you're saying you cannot amend it or something?
You cannot. So, and the deliberative session, correct.
Correct.
So the purpose of the deliberative session really is to amend, to discuss and debate and amend the warrant articles, but you cannot amend those, so. But mostly because that wasn't well attended, I think it might be nice for the voters who want to hear, get to hear, so. Yeah, that was that. Yeah, I really just came to hash through with you guys how you wanted to run the show.
So what is the plan for chairs?
So the plan for chairs is we should have an adequate number of chairs. If I find that once we do a final count, I have to count them in this room, we have a couple more stashed out back. Just going on average attendance from prior years, we'll try to just make sure we have some backup. If I have to borrow some from the school, I will. I mean, they were planning on us being there anyways.
That was my next question, was
Yeah.
chairs. What, are 169 people last time, or did we go over 200?
I don't,
And that includes all of us, because we all get voting cards, so.
the room has capacity for 316,
That
so I
was
think
what
we
I was
need to
gonna
prepare
ask.
for that.
Okay, perfect, okay. That was my question. And I will go in there and peek. I've never run a deliberative in there, so I'm trying to.
And tomorrow's my test run with the Channel 22 equipment. We have a portable cart.
That's
I've never actually run it, so I'm going to do a dry run tomorrow and make sure we can broadcast. If not, at a minimum, we'll do another YouTube live feed like we did last year. We also do have a PA system, and I'm going to test that out to make sure we have audible microphones for the audience as well as for those at home.
Okay.
Why is it being held here, by the way?
Part of it is just because there's still concerns with the heating system at the school. So it was one less thing for them to have to worry about. It's not a typical school day, it's Saturday, so if there is, by chance, an issue that takes place Friday into Saturday, then we're not scrambling with either no heat or a smell that could potentially bother some people.
Thank you.
And I guess I just always like to be forewarned if you think there's anything likely to be a lot of spirited debate over what you never know. Is that the look you're giving me, Matt?
Sometimes the things you think are gonna go by easy end up being a 15-minute argument, so.
What's the check-in, what are you thinking for check-in process? Like people come through this main entrance and then you have the handicap entrance like we do voting day?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was trying to strategically think like we need less space than like the audience necessarily to spread wise. So I was wondering if even setting up the long way, just because of we have to leave that whole like section down the side clear, I guess, for the exits there. So I don't know. So I was gonna peek at it. Maybe I can pop in with you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're available tomorrow would be good.
What time? Anytime?
10:30?
10:30? I think that's the one time slot I may not be available. but
9 o'clock?
Peek.
8:30? Actually, anytime tomorrow, Dawn works.
Yeah, I can come at like 9, probably before my, somewhere in there, so, or after, whichever, I'll come before, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to wrap my mind around it, kind of envisioning how it's set up for election and.
I'll be doing that with the AV stuff, so it'll be perfect.
Yeah, okay. That was my thought to, how is the audio gonna work? What if we do have overflow? Do we have any way to project in here?
We can project in here, or we could, conference room 2 is really not gonna do much. That would be like 15 people, but either in here or the kitchen as an option.
Yeah. We definitely want to make sure if we haven't already post some signage out there. I know like in an emergency postponement, they recommend like putting an officer over there. I don't think that's necessary where we're kind of gotten ahead of it a couple of weeks, so, but definitely maybe put a big sign out there.
Over at the school?
Yeah, just to like, sorry, wrong spot, go back.
And I was actually going to suggest to the board tonight that we could do like a postcard mailing. I know there is a cost associated to it, but there's a lot of value to, especially not so much for the deliberative session, but for the voting portion. We want to make sure that we capture all the registered voters.
Yeah, and we can do a reverse 911 maybe with the Nixle. That'll hit everybody too, like just a reminder, we've moved our meeting there. Yeah, parking I hope will
Worst case scenario, if we don't get any more snow, we have the field, it's frozen, it shouldn't damage.
I don't think we're supposed to this week. Flurries, maybe? Okay. All right, anything for me? Questions? I guess I can hang out and sort of listen to your meeting if you don't put me to sleep.
What's set up, are they gonna set up Friday for it?
No, because we have the blood drive,
Oh.
Nottingham Fire Rescue is hosting a blood drive here until 5 PM, so my plan is to be here bright and early on Saturday with whoever would like to come volunteer and help set up.
Is that a hint?
No,
Sounds good.
not at all.
Subtle. And I really didn't get to peek too quick. I just got them. So, perfect. Yeah, I guess we'll just like shoot emails then. If you want to send me the who's presenting, I'll stick around for.
And you think we'll have a table for all the BOS members, and then what about budget committee and?
Yes, so last year I did make the decision not to sit the budget committee up front just because of the overwhelming complaints that I got about sort of the talking all across the board and the back and forth banter. And then I went and said, okay, if I'm not doing a good job controlling this atmosphere, what am I doing wrong? I watched a bunch of other towns. I was like, oh, other towns don't sit all those people up there, and then today I went back and watched some more, tried to find towns and I found some sort of cross combinations of where maybe it's really just the act of putting microphones in front of everybody, and it's a lot too of, it's not just what's coming from you, but sort of that back and forth banter that sometimes takes off, and then I'm trying to like in the moment decide like, is this appropriate? Is this conversation off topic? Is this, it tend to happen a lot. It's also just a lot of people for me in general to manage down the line. So I was thinking maybe like an L shape, so the the budget committee's there and they're seated there, but I also have opportunity. I figured the chair of the budget committee can sit up and do the presentations. And another strategy I saw was more like some towns do no microphones on tables, and every time you're presenting or asked to speak, it's more trying to control that really technically all questions and comments should flow through the moderator, so that we're sort of controlling the keeping order, really. If it's relaxed, it's fine, but it's sometimes when it gets a little out of control, and then I'm trying to decide how and when to interject, or someone's screaming a point of order at me from behind in the audience. So I think maybe we could try that if the space allows for it. That's why I was thinking maybe going the other way. So yeah, maybe just having you all more, when you are the point person to speak, sort of getting up to speak, or at least maybe controlling microphones so we're not all talking at once and people aren't responding to questions that maybe I would have said aren't even appropriate. Don't respond to that on the spot, like that, sorry, that's not a conversation, or whatever that we're having right now. That gives me a little bit more of an opportunity to have that. Sometimes you all start speaking before I've even been like, we can't talk about this. So yeah, so again, no disrespect to anybody. I'm more just trying to keep order and make sure everybody's being heard and we're talking about the appropriate things and keeping order. So I thought maybe we could try.
So direct everything through you.
Yes, and that is really the number one rule of the meeting. So sometimes, I really was questioning myself, like, oh my gosh, is just our basic setup like already spoiling the one like fundamental rule of the meeting? So that's why I tried something different last year, and honestly I felt like it worked better. I just felt like there were less disruptions and less people getting upset with one another in that regard. I still questioned like, oh my gosh, did I leave my board of selectmen feeling like, hey John Decker, what did you pay for taxes? Like, it's my job to make sure that's not happening, and like so yeah. It's just me always trying to do my job better, stressing out after that didn't go well. So yeah, so I'm happy to, I might try that, seeing if we can, because again, this is the budget committee and all of you have worked so hard on it. It's certainly not meant to be like,
a slight in any way, but more just an opportunity to keep things orderly. So yeah, I'm gonna give that a whirl. We'll figure that out with setting, but again, I'm not sold on it. I'm really just trying to accommodate the space and sitting as many tushes comfortably and safely in the room so that nobody feels it was too crowded or overcrowded. So that'll be my first and foremost goal this round.
Yeah, so everybody's gonna come in the main door and go through the door here, because you're gonna have a check-in over by this corner, right?
Yeah, so I'm thinking how we could like
I mean, I think.
not
setting it-
monopolize all different corners with our setup, because sometimes, you know, like usually like at the school, we have like supervisors and ballot clerks over there, and then we're monopolizing the whole other side. That might not work setup wise, so like if somehow we could all be in a one corner along the wall there, maybe that'll give us more space for the audience, kind of thing. I don't know. We'll peek at it when we're in there. So, yeah. That's it. I just gotta be cognizant of escape routes.
Block the emergency exits.
I like to be closest to them, so preferably with the Batmobile running behind me. So yeah, any other questions, thoughts, concerns?
Apparently, we'll get you a list of
Yeah,
Who's reading what?
who's reading what?
after.
Yeah, when you come in tomorrow, we'll have it ready for you.
Okay.
I'll have it emailed to you tonight. I have to post the warrant, so I might as well give her the
Okay, even better.
layout.
Yep.
I can also like watch or listen as long as I can and throw it in. Well, thank you. Police are right here, so I'm not as worried about that, but I assume we have someone assigned to us for,
All the department heads will be here, so I believe Chief Woodman will be here anyways. Probably some other officers as well.
yep. And that was the other thing too. I know we might necessarily call up a department head when, you know, after you all presented, but it's totally appropriate too if like there's something for a specific department and you prefer just to defer the introducing or the presentation of the article entirely to them, and they can come up and present as well. That's, you know, I was watching all sorts of things today. You know, just take you out of the hot seat for a little bit.
Well,
That was
in the
it.
years past, it's always been if I'm not wrong, but the chairman of the budget committee is the one that's actually gonna be going through presenting all the budget.
Yes, for 100%. So Article 1 is always, ironically, I thought that the first article after whose names are on the ballot was the budget, the main budget, but it's not consistent watching other town meetings. That's why I didn't know if there was wiggle room with the zoning stuff, but yes, Owen will present that. I think you're thinking about PowerPoint as well. We did discuss like, over the years, I think many of us have heard the lectures from various lawyers or whatever, like, why are you going line by line? You can't amend lines, you can't. So I think, you know, as we adopt to more and more to becoming SB2 and we all become used to that, I think we're trying to trim that down. The public hearing was actually the place to really do that. The floor of the deliberative is not, so trying to, you know, not keep us to an 8-hour day and to highlight the important parts. I think Owen was working on that and was gonna
Right.
touch base with me before on that. I assume that's the only thing the budget committee would be presenting. Oh, I didn't even know you were here for Dawn. Is that the only thing you're, I assume, right? That's the only thing there, the budget itself. Looking at me like, that's not my question to answer.
It's also the Board of Selectmen's show that also runs, so.
Yes.
I'm allowed to step on toes. This is not my meeting. I'm getting nothing else.
So yeah, so outside of that, just whoever wants to present, whoever I guess has the most knowledge, because I find that once you've presented, the questions do seem to get targeted at you. So I think that's why I said if you wanted to like defer to just have Fawn present if there's an article for the police department, and then she's right there to field and answer questions as they come. Again, just things to save time and not have, you know, someone who can't answer on the spot getting like a targeted question at them, so. Just some stuff. Anything else?
Thank you very much.
One time I have to say, it is my monkeys, I always like to say to my kids, not my circus, not my monkeys. They're my monkeys.
See it all right.
Oh, yes, we zoom.
All right,
We can have a hearing.
we do got 5 minutes, but I don't know what we're gonna get done in 5 minutes, so.
They're here.
Let's see, what's our 5-minute topics?
Go through the assessing.
All right, let's do that. Let's go through assessing. There's 3 of them.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the veterans tax credit for map 63, lot 19.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to accept the service-connected disability tax credit for map 37, lot 7A.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And make a motion to approve the all veterans tax credit for map 15, lot 8-1.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Perfect. All of these guys.
Jump right into that public hearing. Couple minutes early, but they're here.
It's a hearing, we're probably not supposed to.
Right. So we should still wait for the 7 o'clock, even though it's.
6:57.
I think we can wait. We'll just wait 3 minutes. You guys are more.
We hammer out that voluntary,
What?
is that the carryover item from last meeting?
It's not ready to be off the table at this point.
Great.
So actually, I can give you a quick update on that. I can kill 2 minutes. Pawtuckaway Ridge subdivision, I relayed to the developer the request from the board to go with the performance bond amount that was calculated by CMA. They are going to be posting the bond, which will then enable them to file building permits. Once building permits are filed, then the 911 addressing can commence. So that will firm up Spruce Peak Drive as the official road, and then we can go ahead and
Change
Not the
continue
voluntary.
with, yep.
Okay.
So just as soon as a performance bond is posted and the first building permit's filed, we'll be able to go with that. But as of right now, everything's fine. There's no question of delay of delivery for the existing addresses or anything.
All right. Oh, look at everybody. All right, we're going to open our public hearing with the Nottingham Conservation Commission per RSA 36-A:5, Roman 2, to hold this public hearing per RSA 675:7. The hearing will be held in conjunction with the Board of Selectmen meetings, hence this is where we are today. This hearing is to consider the expenditures from the Conservation Fund for a 100-foot buffer easement associated with critical wetlands located on the property within a subdivision located at 104 Stevens Hill Road. Subdivision is Stevens Hill Road, tax map 46, lot 6. The easement is to provide access for monitoring of the critical wetlands and associated the 100-foot buffer. Who's speaking?
And actually, John, the CC runs this public hearing,
Great.
just so. But you opened it up, so thank you.
Well, figure I was sitting here. Must say something.
Technically, we should be sitting up there.
Sam, how are you doing? How are you?
Yeah, not too bad for you.
Good.
Help us listen on the
If you like, I would, just for education, read the RSA. It refers to trust holding this hearing for the public.
Sure.
I've got all my stuff in.
Planning board anyway.
Did you want, I mean, if you want to do that?
Somebody just handed it. You handed it.
No, Susan did.
Sure, you want to sit next to Sam and,
I'm over there.
okay.
I can move down?
We'll be quick.
Go ahead, Sam.
Okay, for the introduction of the Conservation Commission, my name is Sam Demerit. I currently chair the Conservation Commission and have for a while. Over there is Dr. Cheryl Smith, who is the vice chair. Susan Moon is our secretary sitting here. And Drew Stevens is an alternate. Well, so we got a couple back there. Deb Kimball and Mary Colbert are regular members of the commission, and Johan is a alternate. And I have a couple minutes after 7. You want to go ahead and
Yep. Okay, so John has already, the chair of the Board of Selectmen, has already explained the rationale for this public hearing, but by RSA and by the way the Nottingham Conservation Commission came into being in Nottingham, any funds expended out of the Conservation Fund need to be approved by the Board of Selectmen in a public hearing. Conservation Commission runs the public hearing portion of that, then we open it up for public comment, and after which the board, any additional questions to the Conservation Commission, then we close the public hearing portion and the Board of Selectmen will make their decision on the expenditure of those funds. So this particular public hearing is considered to consider expenditures in the amount of $60,000 from the Conservation Fund for a 100-foot buffer easement associated with a critical wetland and a 50-foot perpetual walking easement located on the property within a subdivision located at 104 Stevens Hill Road. Subdivision Stevens Hill Road, tax map 46, lot 6. The easements are to provide access for monitoring the critical wetland and the associated 100-foot buffer around that wetland. There is a note 18 from the Mylar that has been submitted to the Planning Board that explains a little bit more about this easement. And so this is from the Mylar for the subdivision plan for 12-month LLC of tax map 46, lot 6, 104 Stevens Hill Road, Nottingham, New Hampshire, County of Rockingham. And that note number 18 says that both Lot A and B are subject to a critical wetland and associated 100-foot buffer easement in benefit of the town of Nottingham to conserve and protect the habitat for rare, threatened, and endangered species within the critical wetland and its 100-foot buffer. The preservation and conservation of critical wetlands and the 100-foot buffer, particularly the conservation of forest land and wetlands of which said area consists, and of the wildlife habitat thereon. The easement protects the natural habitat found in the wetland upland complex of flora and fauna. A 50-foot perpetual walking easement shall be used to access the parcel for periodic inspections, which is required on an annual basis to make sure that there's been no infringement on an easement area. Conservation Commission monitors several properties around the town for easements and to make sure that there hasn't been any encroachment or violations of the easements. There's approximately 7 acres of wetlands. This easement runs in the back portion of both lots A and B for this subdivision. And it's approximately 8 acres of upland in the back portion of Lot A. The original ask for this easement from Mr. Falzone was $75,000. I spoke with him and explained that, you know, we don't have an abundance of money, although we have other projects going as well. So he dropped $15,000, but he does have costs for the survey to delineate the wetlands, et cetera, and then also the legal costs to draw up the easement, have legal review, et cetera, and a little bit back and forth with the town attorney as well as his attorneys to finalize the language of the easement. So the total amount is $60,000 for this. Provided the board with a packet, at least I hope you all got it, that had that information in it, and I added a little bit more about the total of wetland and upland. We also provided a map that shows the critical wetlands, but also shows the wildlife habitat ranking. And I'm going to ask Drew Stevens to talk a little bit about the wildlife habitat around this, but that map that you all have, where we see red and green and purple, this is some of the highest, well, I should say the highest ranked in the state and region in terms of wildlife habitat. And there are a number of critical species in this area as well. So if Drew, if you would talk to that.
Sure, yeah. So I've written a letter here that I've distributed to the rest of the board as well that I'm going to read from. I'll skip the beginning part because it just gives background about the parcel that we've already heard. So the conservation easement itself covers approximately 13 acres and includes wetlands, a 100-foot buffer around the wetlands, and a 50-foot walking corridor from Stevens Hill Road to access the wetlands for future monitoring. Quincy Pond drains into these wetlands from the northwest of the parcel and extends southeasterly through adjacent parcels. The habitat types within this easement include hemlock hardwood pine, Appalachian oak pine, temperate swamps, wet meadow, and shrub wetlands, and the only parts of the Quincy Pond wetlands identified as peatland, a soil type that takes many decades to develop. The Nottingham Master Plan designates this area within the area within this conservation easement as a critical wetland, which is defined as a wetland having the highest value in the town inventory based on the functional value of these resources for such factors as flood storage, wildlife habitat, and water quality maintenance. An assessment from New Hampshire Fish and Game's 2015 Wildlife Action Plan considers the areas within and surrounding the conservation easement to be the highest ranked habitat for wildlife both in the region and in the entire state. And that's what you can see on this map that I've handed out. Everywhere that's pink on this map is considered the highest ranked wildlife habitat in the entire state. Green areas are considered the highest ranked habitat, wildlife habitat in the region.
Just for those of you in the audience that may not have these maps, this is the parcel of land here that we are talking about. This is the particular easement. This land is being subdivided with a lot in the front here. The rest of this acreage in the back is being conveyed to the owner of this particular property.
All right, so This region of Nottingham also lies within one of the 6 core conservation focus areas that were established in the town's master plan. Also worth noting is that the easement protects the wetland and 100-foot buffer on the new backlot parcel as well. The lot line adjustment associated with this subdivision opens up the possibility of future development, since the backlot now is accessible from Stevens Hill Road without crossing any critical wetlands. And so this easement would guarantee a perpetual 100-foot wetland buffer, even if the zoning ordinances concerning wetland buffers were to be relaxed in the future.
And just one other comment I will make is that, let's see, at the October 23rd, 2024 meeting, the Nottingham Planning Board approved this case for this subdivision, and they had also basically approved this easement. And this easement is dependent upon approval for this payment. If that does not occur, then the easement will be null and void, and there will be no easement protection on this property. And I think that's all I had to say. Drew? Anybody else from the Conservation Commission?
I will say that Quincy Pond is, I looked up on some maps, and Quincy Pond is a 27-acre pond. The deepest point in the pond is 20 feet. Most of it is at least 10 feet deep, and it slopes down pretty quickly from the edges of the thing into the pond, so.
And to be clear, the easement is for the wetlands extending from Quincy Pond. It is not for any part of Quincy Pond itself.
Right, right. Did the board have questions, the select board have questions for us?
I have a question.
Sure.
So both of the lots, A and B, I think they're called, they both extend past the wetlands, right?
No. In the subdivided, approved subdivision plan, there's I believe, an 11-acre lot and a 2-acre lot that were divided on the front, with a 70-acre lot in the back that was part of the lot line adjustment. The 2 lots in the front, they are not, that 100-foot wetland buffer is the delineation of those lots.
Okay, because that's, I guess that's not how I was looking at the Mylar piece.
So on this page that we handed out, it shows those 2 subdivided lots, and so the part that is hatched here with diagonal hatching, that would be the easement, and so the boundary there
So the
is the easement for
boundary-
those 2 lots.
The boundary of Lot A is the back of the 100-foot buffer.
The boundary of proposed Lot A in this, it is bounded by Stevens Hill Road, and
Drew, I don't think that's correct. I think you're, what you're looking at, if you're looking at the first page on the Mylar, so in that first lot,
Second page.
you're
of
looking
Mylar.
at this one?
No, I was looking at the second one, which is this one here, sorry. That one?
Yeah, that looks like the same one.
Yeah, it's the same one I just had.
Oh, okay, it was this, sorry.
Yep.
It's the second one from what?
So,
Emailed us.
so there is a section of this first lot. This is the back of the property boundary in that larger
Yeah,
lot.
that's what I was looking at. So there's like a lot more dry upland in the back portion on both of these properties, is what I'm reading.
The front yes. Correct.
So it's these 2 lots,
No, it's just this one.
just this one.
This hasn't been subdivided yet. So this will be subdivided into 2-acre lot here.
Right, so
And the
these
rest
could be
of this
further
will stay with the
subdivided
house.
Okay.
based on how it works out with that back property.
There isn't enough in the first lot to build on.
This piece.
Lot A,
Lot
be-
A, that's 275 feet between, I think, or maybe not, I don't know. So it's,
and in order for them to to do that. So the way the planning board usually has, and Drew, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the planning board, if you have and John, you know this as well, if you're going to further subdivide these lots, at the time that this subdivision went through, they should have been putting in that they were going to further subdivide those lots,
So there'll be a two-acre
potentially.
lot here.
I mean, the only thing they could potentially ever do would be try to do a backlot subdivision, and they wouldn't get the backlot subdivision because they can't go through your easement.
Well,
Right.
So it's not gonna make a difference for them to
Right.
do anything with that.
So there is no further development on these properties because they can't go through the easement. The easement can't have something put through it.
Can't put a driveway through it.
Right, well, I know they can't put a driveway through here, but
House is
now
here.
that the back lot is
It's all
being adjoined to the
Including
adjacent
easement.
lot, they could work with,
They can't cut down trees.
That is true, yes. What you're saying is that
Yeah.
That's-
now
Here.
the merged lot could
That's
absorb the other two
potential to
parcels,
come
but
in
it's-
through the back, but I don't really see what that has to do with protecting the wetland.
just
If
making a
that were to
point of
happen, that would make this
reference-
easement even more valuable.
Correct, yes, it
Trying
would.
to make a point of reference based on what Drew stated, you know, I mean, if, it would have made sense if that was the lot. I mean, they subdivided quite a bit off these back sides, and I wanted to make sure that was clear.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the full plan, the really drawn back plan, you can see where this connects into that,
That L-shaped.
there's an
parcel.
L-shaped property.
Mhm.
This fella here has a long driveway.
Yeah, so that L-shaped.
And if they
parcel-
wanted to do that, I mean, that's a pretty large driveway and pretty long driveway to come in and go in, so.
Well,
But it's
there's
also a large
of
lot.
property
It's a
there.
large lot, and there's no critical wetlands crossing through it
Yeah.
anywhere, so.
Correct.
The possibility is certainly there.
Right,
So you're right, there is a possibility to do that, but then again, as Drew just pointed out, that therefore makes this easement even more significant to protect the wetlands and the upland buffer behind it.
so they can't build there anyway, right? I mean, they can't build in the wetlands.
They can't build in the wetlands, John, but they can do things to the wetlands. They can dump their refuse in the upper area. They can cut down X number of trees in those areas according to buffer areas that they can cut down. They could, put their dogs out there. They could park the refuse there. They could do whatever they want there, which then would compromise the quality of the wetlands. This easement prevents that from happening. If they wanted to take all of their grass trimmings, et cetera,
Right, I
and
read
dump
that
them
stuff, but I
on the
didn't
edge of the
think it
wetlands, they can do
prevented them
that.
From doing their dogs, or whatever, you know, so, it seems like a lot of money.
This is specifically the kind of projects that the Conservation Fund is to be used for.
I'm not debating that, I'm just saying, it seems like an awful lot of money.
When considering that this is a, critical wetlands that has been, identified as the town for a long time as being worthy of protection, and the current costs of land in general and maintaining a 50-foot easement from the road, considering that there are also survey costs and other things involved, it really isn't that expensive.
But we're not purchasing the property either. You know, we're purchasing an easement to this property that, I don't know. I have a hard time with it. I mean, I understand the importance of protecting it, I get that. But it seems like we're being requested to spend $60,000 on a piece of property that nobody can build on anyway.
So nobody can build on the wetlands itself, but this does include that 100-foot buffer. So right now, our zoning ordinances do provide for a 100-foot buffer for critical wetland setbacks. That's not guaranteed to be there going forward. That could change, and that could allow somebody to build a shed right up against the wetlands.
We have that buffer now, though.
We have it now, but that isn't guaranteed.
But
for the
that
life
buffer
of the
was not
property.
there a while back. Okay, so it changes, it can go back and forth.
Right, it can, it's just like everything, but.
Are there other questions from the board?
It's just weird how it was laid out in terms of a very small front parcel and then a very large wetland and then a very weird, large landlocked piece in the back. Now, I'm not getting into the sellability of it, but it's just kind of weird how there's like this little thing in the front and then there's a huge parcel in the back. I don't understand why he didn't just stop it at the wetlands, and then it would make it easier to be like, the wetlands is here, you can't come here, but I just see that, I mean, and maybe this gives you more enforcement?
I have no idea why the lot was divided the way that it is.
Does this
Okay,
give you like
that-
more
That was nothing
enforcement,
to
or
do
like
with
if
the
somebody's-
Conservation Commission. That's
So if
not,
I'm like this landowner and he wants to, he can traverse across its wetlands, he could
Yes,
drive an ATV across it?
no,
to
he
the
can't drive an ATV through the wetland under
Motorized
the easement.
vehicles.
You
Okay.
cannot
Is
ride a
that-
vehicle through that. You can walk around on the buffer, but you cannot drive vehicles through the wetland. You cannot develop the wetland even if you're the property owner.
I-
And the property owner had a series of questions that he posed to Mr. Falzone, forwarded to us, and we answered those, wanted to know, would there be necessity for remediation for anything? They have a fire pit that is within the 100-foot buffer. That's pre-existing. They don't have to remediate that, but they can't expand it, they can't put pavement around it, et cetera. And the buyer of this property is well aware of
Is
this.
that listed somewhere?
No, no,
Right,
it is
it's
not.
listed, but it's not on the map, the fire pit. I did notice that, and I thought that it would be
Yeah, I'm not
wise to
quite
actually
sure.
have that on
Up
the
there,
map.
pre-existing.
It just says it's next to the shed or behind the shed or something. And my other question is, so if this is a wetland, how do we get from one side to the other without trespassing?
How do you get to one side to the other? This is,
How do you, being the
property owner.
steward of this, get from one side?
go around the 100-foot buffer. There's a 100-foot buffer that goes around this wetland. This easement is for both of the parcels, A and B,
Right,
for the whole wetland.
right, but the wetland extends past the width of A and B together, so it extends into the next lot over, and then the next lot on the other side.
He's saying if
So
you
how
want
do you
to check
get from?
here, how do you get, you have an easement to check this
Right.
portion, how do you get?
In all honesty, I'm not as concerned about the back portion of this wetland because somebody else has the same problem that we do in terms of crossing that, unless the new conveyed property owner for that way back decides to go back in and do things through that. If it's a little bit drier, we can certainly access and get around the wetland that way, but the real concern is the front of the properties where there is currently development.
Is there any other public comment too on this? I'll just ask a question.
Well, we haven't yet. I just want to know if the board was done.
Are there
first.
any other projects that you've got coming up in the next year to two that you'll be requesting funds for?
Yes, there will be. But that's not to be discussed right now in
Right.
this hearing. But we will talk with the board just real quickly after this, but not part of the public hearing. If there's no additional questions from the board right now, I'd like to open that for public input.
Yeah. By all means.
Does the public have any questions or input for this? Sorry, we took your chairs.
Cheers.
Owen from Gray, 162 Raymond Road. You said the price, the $60,000 price, that was inclusive of survey delineations, wetland survey
The
markings, all of that?
$60,000 is just one fee, and that's what Mr. Falzone said, you know, in terms of compensation for their survey, their legal, the writing of the easement.
So I just wanted to put a little more context to that. Survey, wetland survey, flag collection, and easement delineation is probably on the order of magnitude, I would guess, of $30,000, maybe $40,000 for a parcel of this size. So it is not an insignificant sum of money, and that might better put in context the ask for the price tag. I just thought I could add some clarification to that.
Thank you. other comments from the public or questions or? Hearing none, then we'll close the public comment section of this. And was there anything additional from the Board of Selectmen?
I'm good.
Bigger.
All right, then I'll go ahead and what did you say, John?
Wish the lot was bigger. Wish you were getting more land.
If it extended all the way to those back.
I'll go ahead and
That would
close
make more sense.
close the public hearing then with the Conservation Commission, and we shall retire and let the board make their decision. And closing at 7:25, Susan. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Dr. Smith, Carol, do we want to wait and have?
I guess, is it okay if we still sit here instead of being disruptive and moving our chairs while you have your deliberations?
Sure, yeah.
We can just sit.
Matter. Any questions on it, Steve?
I think I'm good with what they presented.
I think it's a lot of money. I think if it extended all the way to that back property line, sure. But I worry about that additional property behind it. And
You mean you worry about the extension because the lot actually goes back here and the
Right.
front person has that little back?
well, actually, yeah, it's a lot of back. A lot of back there. This big section here.
Yeah.
And this section back here. This is the end of the buffer. So it's like, if this is basically 13 acres, and I have more than that behind it.
Well, hopefully the people that own it are gonna be good stewards and keep it all
Well,
natural.
If so, we already have the protections in place to take care of it.
But I understand what your point, what you're saying.
You'd have to figure a way to access it, though. It's not accessible.
The giant L-shaped piece, if this person decided he wanted to make a subdivision driveway in and
Yep,
you could carve it all up
yep, exactly.
for whatever you wanted. To the backside of these lots, I mean, the backside of these lots would be an additional buffer to the buffer of the wetlands, but it is definitely connected now through here, that this makes a very substantial piece that I'm sure we will see coming up soon.
What is the frontage here, do we know?
What's that?
Frontage
I
On
don't
this piece?
know.
on Stevens Hill Road. the
This is
frontage.
at least 200 though.
Right.
I'd have to add these suckers up.
I don't think.
Good time. Look here, Steve.
No, I don't think I need to. I think I'm happy with what they presented. I just don't think they have access on that L-shaped piece, because I don't think they get the frontage for,
Oh, yeah, look at here, it's right here.
I mean, I'm not trying to hope that they subdivided it at all, but
Here's the L-shape.
that's not the point of this.
This is the L-shaped one. And it goes back to here. So this whole back.
how much frontage is here, though? How would they get a permit to go back
That
there?
is. Hang on. Which do I need? I saw frontage on here.
Only
That's
parts
pretty
of
big.
wetlands identified as peatland is in that section.
Well, here, just do the math. See this one, and this one? They all had to have a minimum when they made these. They all had to have a minimum of 200, so that could be probably 250.
It's over 200.
Okay,
So,
okay. What's the current Conservation Commission fund balance?
so I don't think that's,
$600,000.
I don't see it.
600.
Even though it's all gonna be connected. it's all just gonna be one big
$672,150.
The total Conservation Commission has 670,
2,000.
dollars. So they have a remainder of 600 plus thousand if we were to commit to something that they seem very strongly about. I do agree with your, I have concerns with how it's laid out, and seems like that it's already protected land by everything we have that would take several zoning changes, whatever. I mean, you're really getting the mapping and everything that was mentioned has to be done anyway to split up the land. So we're just reimbursing him his cost for subdividing the land to protect land that's already protected, minus his 50-foot perpetual walking path. Correct. I mean, he has to put these markers in. He has to already do all of the labor that we're reimbursing him for.
If I can make one comment on that.
Sure.
There was a waiver from the applicant during the subdivision process to not have to survey the back portion of the lot because it wasn't subject to parts of the development. You
that
can
part.
see on one of these sheets, it has a match line across it that says the limit of the wetland and delineate, yeah, so this one that I handed out at the very bottom of you'll see there's a dash line that says limit of topographic survey. So that was all that the applicant actually paid to get surveyed, and the planning board allowed a waiver so that the back portion did not have to be surveyed. So this actually, there is added cost to survey the back of these wetlands to help delineate the rest of the easement.
Okay.
So it's not all just things that the applicant has already covered in their subdivision.
Okay.
So that part's not even surveyed yet, the back of the wetland.
The back of the wetland is surveyed, but not the back upland and dryland past where the property bound is.
But the back of the wetland is completely
The
surveyed.
back of the wetland is delineated.
This area.
So, the entire wetland has not been delineated. The wetland that we're being shown on these maps is from the National Wetland Inventory Plus. So, yes, the
Yes, right.
front parcel here, right, where Stevens Road is, that part of the wetland up until where it says the end of the
Yes.
topographic survey, everything
Past that
past
is
that.
not.
So the wetlands on the back part of the lot, that
Yeah.
delineation comes from the National Wetlands Inventory.
Right,
It has
right.
not yet been actually surveyed
Okay.
by a certified wetland
So
scientist.
that wetland, it very likely moves into that L-shaped lot.
Oh, it definitely moves into. well,
In addition
yes.
to that, in addition to that, there are also very likely vernal pools, and some peatlands that are in there as well. So it's probably not all uplands on this sort of,
It goes into the lot between the L-shaped lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot in between there,
correct.
2-4. And then the pond itself is like on 9, I guess, I think. So the wetland extends both the east and west side properties. Which is why I was asking about crossing it to get to the other side.
Mhm.
I've seen this through the planning board when the subdivision happened and all this, so a lot of my, I'm just waiting to see where you guys come in, if you guys have questions, or if you wanna ask anything. All right. Ready to take a vote?
Yep.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve sort of $60,000, the $60,000 expenditure from the conservation fund for the 100-foot buffer easement associated with critical wetland located on the subdivision at 104 Stevens Hill Road, tax map 46 lot 6.
We have a motion.
Second.
We found our second. All in favor, say aye.
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 I'm opposing.
Okay,
I
goes to
think
4-1.
I think our expenses are spent better somewhere else.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And just to let the board know, we do have two, potentially, 3 projects coming up sometimes over the next, I think many of you that have been around long enough know that these projects can take well over a year, up into 2, sometimes 3 years, depending upon what they have to do to fundraise. But we have 2 very excellent projects coming up. that are already in the works that we've been approached with some of the land conservation groups about partnering with on those, while they're also looking for additional funds for those properties. And they're significant properties.
Should we talk about what one of those properties' conservation values is, just to give them a ballpark?
Yeah, you can, yeah, if you want to talk about the
Well,
conservation values.
We were approached by a land trust on one project that has all the bells and whistles, and the loss in property value to put this property into a conservation easement will be over $1 million. This is just one of the 3 projects that we're entertaining. Stellar, so.
It lights up on everything in terms of wetlands, species of concern, uplands, the conservation value,
access.
public access, just, it's a stellar property. And so that is one that we're gonna be working very closely with and very hard with to spend some of the balance that we have in our conservation.
And for anybody that doesn't want more houses, that's a perfect example to support it.
Exactly.
But there is, that's a fairly large project. There's another project that's almost as large, and then a smaller project that is potential that has not moved along that very far yet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Gonna spend a lot more time there.
So I didn't do my homework.
All right, so we're gonna go back to the beginning to our town administrator's report.
Okay. Just to reiterate, for those that may just be tuning in, and to get the word out there, town deliberative session is this Saturday, February 1st at 9 a.m., and it is going to be here at the community center in the gym. There is a snow date, due to us being SB2. The original plan was to postpone due to snow to the following Saturday, but we actually have to reconvene within 72 hours of the original plan date. So that would put our potential snow date, if there's inclement weather on Saturday, to February 3rd, which is Monday. It would still be here at the community center at 6 p.m. So that's also a planned Board of Selectmen meeting. Obviously, deliberative session would take priority over that.
We just did deliberative session that day.
Yeah. School deliberative session is next Wednesday, February 5th at 6 p.m. as planned at the Nottingham School, 245 Stage Road. Their snow date is Friday, February 7th, same time and location. John had already announced the filing period is now open for town and school positions, and it closes this Friday, January 31st. The town clerk's office will be open Friday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. to accept filings for this purpose only, not for other town clerk functions. And the town voting will now take place at the community center here, 139 Stage Road, Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So we will be getting that announcement out as much as we possibly can. It is I believe all the postings on the website and the town calendar have been updated to reflect the date, time, location changes as applicable. We'll make sure it's updated on Channel 22. And then I just wanted to kind of pull you for a feel to see if you think that it warrants a postcard mailing or if we just utilize Nixle. I think at a minimum, because we are changing the polling location, I think this would warrant a postcard mailing. I think we did it in 2023 when we had to postpone the town voting. Just what are your thoughts on that?
I think we should.
Yes. It's our, posted as our alternate already.
It is. Yeah, it has been verified by the Secretary of State's office as an alternate polling location. But
just never
their
been.
recommendation is to get the word out there as much as we possibly can. So, I mean, I plan on posting notice up at the school. We'll get some signage up that says voting here, but there might be some people that don't.
Does the mailing really inform people that aren't, I'm wondering if that's gonna give us the value that we actually are looking for. I mean, yes, it would be great, I understand that, but is it going to add people being notified? Or are they gonna know anyway because of some other means?
Are you talking about voting day?
Yes,
Yes.
That's gonna be here?
correct.
That is a big change.
Yes.
I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, Mrs. Moderator?
I mean, we have had to postpone in that weather emergency, like, when we come back. I don't wanna be on TV. We have had, in a pinch, I don't know if you were on the board, but I think my second year, we had to move elections here because of that big storm coming, so, it was fine. The turnout wasn't any different, so, I don't know, we're up to like 73 cents just for a stamp now, so we're probably talking about
Postcard's gonna be like half that, 50.
half that, even with the printing and all of that, so 50 cents roughly.
You can qualify for
800
bulk
voters.
mailing.
What?
Right, yes, we don't have to notify every voter, we can do it by household, so it's probably cheaper,
Right.
because it is our posted polling place.
Just requires some man-hours sorting that list, right? I guess.
Right, it's just a, bulk, every resident.
It's not awful.
I mean, with the assessing program, we can just query a report that's just improved properties and capture them there. I mean, it would be less than the 5,000 parcels, including all vacant land, and
Right, we don't have to.
it would minimize it some.
Right. And you just do registered. I mean, not every household's probably registered to vote, so.
I don't think we can. I think we have to do it to every household, because somebody could potentially not be a registered voter and,
Come to register to vote that day.
Correct.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Does this need to be in place, you're saying, for this weekend for the deliberative?
No.
Or just for voting?
just for voting. Because that's,
I don't know if this matters or not, but I can say this because I work in this building every day. It doesn't matter where voting is, they show up here anyway.
This
No,
is partially
so
true
it's
too.
not- I mean, it's common sense, there's two places that we voted, right? The town hall or the school. They're gonna go to one of them and they're gonna figure it out.
and they've got 12 hours.
That was kind of what the point I was trying to get to.
Yeah,
was-
I kind of,
But beating the bush a little bit.
Well,
But you don't want, the school will be in session that day, and you don't, I'm not saying there'd be traffic at the school, but you don't want people going to the school.
Not
driving
on
to the school.
Saturday. Oh, you're talking about voting
voting
that
day.
Tuesday, the,
voting day
Right.
is
Gotcha.
school day.
well, did they already have it scheduled off though?
They did have it scheduled off, and there was question about doing a staff training, so I don't know if the school board has made the decision to open it as a school day where they've had some unplanned closures, or if it's going to be a staff development day still.
School could be closed that day.
I know. I kind of agree with Chief. Like, I always have a handful of people at every election are like, I went to the other place, and like, oh, sorry. And it's a 2-second grumble, and they moved on. It's not like our two polling places are on opposite sides of town and 20 minutes apart. You go there, whoopsie daisy, you turn around, come here. So I don't know if the cost is substantial. I'm not sure. I think, yes, there is a population that probably isn't Facebook or Nixle savvy or anything like that you might miss, but I feel like they're more the people who are gonna hear word of mouth. They're probably the people who attend my deliberative session anyway,
But could we use the same mailing to explain the warrant articles? Won't be a postcard
a
anymore.
postcard.
Won't be a postcard anymore.
Oh, yeah, are you sending a mailer? Oh, no.
Well,
Are you
we-
sending a
the-
mailer?
We
That
hadn't
would be the
discussed it.
perfect-
Oh, well,
Right.
good point,
Right,
so.
and then if-
So maybe that's an option. I mean-
That's another-
Right.
That's a whole different point.
So you can get two things for there.
Well, that would be.
We have 6 weeks to get the information
Right.
out. So whatever that turns into. With postal delays, I would recommend definitely getting it out at least 10 days before voting.
Right.
Yeah, we just learned very painfully on another board I serve on, I don't think you get to use the nonprofit route anyway, but there are, when you don't send something first-class bulk mail, you get a lower prioritization. So a mailer we expected to be sent out Christmas actually sat at the post office for weeks before it was mailed. When you do a big bulk mail, I'm sure you get higher priority, but yeah, definitely something to know right now about the postal service, because I just learned an expensive lesson. Yeah, I think if you didn't do it, it wouldn't be bad, but if you're doing a mailer, that saves you. So we didn't do it that last time, and we had 24 hours, 48-hour cancellation, and I didn't have anyone fuss. Not outside of the normal fuss.
I think sometimes we make a bigger deal out of this than we need to.
Correct.
You know, like you said, somebody goes over there, they're gonna be like, hey,
Yeah.
there's not a single sign.
Yeah.
You know, we could also post our signs out earlier in front of this building saying, hey, it's here.
Yeah, I think that's what we did too. We
So,
put the metal signs out like.
Have it up a
before.
week earlier, it says voting here on February.
Yeah.
March 11th.
And it's not like we don't ever vote here and this wasn't our polling place, so
Right.
it's really not.
It is
I
an
don't-
inconvenience that we have to switch our polling places though, for the fact of keeping everything regimented the same way all the time, but that's due to unexpected
Unexpected,
things.
yes. It
So,
seemed like
but-
the less painful solution than getting a call at 5 AM. There's no heat in the building. You've got to move. So, or postpone.
Pretty painful call.
Yeah.
You get it about once a week.
You got to go.
Yeah, so, you know, again, these are simple problems to address, so.
Yeah, we'll just continue. I mean, like I said, we have 6 weeks, so we can continue to just publish it everywhere and.
Yeah. And honestly, that's why I had you check with the Secretary of State before we even did it first, because there are some rules about like having a mailer if you're changing your polling place, but I was pretty sure, based on that experience, that we actually have to establish polling places with the Secretary of State, so it's okay for us to go back and forth without the mailer. Right, obviously, it's not the most convenient thing for people, but it's not convenient for any of us either. So, that was my 2 cents. I agree with John, so. Can I go away from the camera?
Yes, you are fine. Thank you for your time again.
Okay, so we'll proceed without a mailer at this time. In your signature file, there is a tax map maintenance proposal with CAI Technologies. That is for the mapping data for the recording period of April 1st, 2025 through March 31st of 2026. This is for the annual tax map maintenance, and there's no cost increase from the prior year's proposal of $3,800, so this is within the operating budget, the proposed operating budget. And I did want to just note that all map updates, I had reported, I think, late summer, early fall, that there were some map updates that had not made its way to the mapping company. Nancy, our administrative assistant, tasked that off as her fall project, and she does have all of the updates to the mapping company covering the period through April 1st of 2024. And then,
Only a year behind. Almost.
what's that?
We're almost
Right.
only a year behind.
So those map updates will be coming, and then they'll be working on everything that was approved after April 1st of 2024 for updates into 25, so.
I'm glad to hear that she's moving along with that.
Yes.
So that's good.
So I would be looking for a motion to go ahead and sign that tax map maintenance proposal.
All right. I'll make a motion that we approve the tax map maintenance proposal dated January 23rd, 2025.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 The law firm that you chose, Drummond and Woodsum, has provided you with an engagement letter for general municipal legal services. That will go into effect at the date of signature, so I am looking for a motion and for you to sign that engagement letter.
Do we need a motion to sign it if we already chose
Well-
one? Yeah, I can just make the motion to sign the form.
Sign the engagement letter.
Okay. Just sign it or make the motion?
Make the motion. Make it official.
I make the motion to sign the engagement letter for general municipal legal services with Drummond and Woodson.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 A few months back, we received some correspondence from Comcast. They were looking to jump onto the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, otherwise known as BEAD. So Comcast, as our local broadband provider in town, is trying to work with the state to enable broadband service expansion to unserved or underserved areas throughout the state. There is a letter of support that's been drafted in there that we're just looking to provide to Comcast, supporting their efforts in expanding the broadband service, and it would impact the town of Nottingham. So if you are in favor of supporting that cause, then I would like you to make a motion to sign that letter.
It's not a cost thing, it's just
Correct.
saying we support them in continuing their expansion.
Yes.
Okay, make a motion to sign a letter of support for Comcast application to Broadband Equity Access and Deployment, the BEAD program.
Second?
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 The next two items I'm going to hold off because they're part of your general business. For correspondence, we did receive an email from David Scanlon, New Hampshire Secretary of State, just acknowledging that the Dominion ImageCast Precinct electronic ballot counting device has satisfactorily completed the conditions required by the Ballot Law Commission for their device to be used in New Hampshire elections pending the issuance of surety bonds to each town for each purchased device. This was the ballot counting machine that you had authorized the purchase of based on warrant article that was approved last year. Sydney Gendro from New Hampshire DES Watershed Management Bureau emailed regarding the Lamprey River Advisory Committee. Peter White, who was one of our representatives, has resigned. Nottingham can have up to 3 representatives.
Was Peter the only one?
No, Peter is not the only one. The second person is still active, if you'll bear with me. I actually think it's in that yellow correspondence folder. David, I want to say. Daniel Davis is the other one. So currently Nottingham is represented on this advisory committee by one town resident, Daniel Davis. Committee members must reside in the state of New Hampshire and may present a broad range of interests, including local government, business, conservation interests, recreation, agriculture, and riparian landowners. I'm sorry, my phone is.
So it would have been good if the Conservation Commission was still here.
Correct, but they were copied on this as well.
Yeah, I know, but was there anybody there that?
That has expressed an interest?
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So I will put it out to them, and I will put an announcement on the town's website that we're seeking volunteer members for that committee,
Right, up to 2. Not
or at
3.
least 2.
Right, true, right. Could also reach out to PLIA.
Okay.
Pawtuckaway is part of that.
The Society for Protection of New Hampshire Forest issued a letter regarding their annual Forest Society monitoring and report. That was just informational. Garrett Halverson from Apparel Impact reached out to me. They're a recycling or clothing recycler that would place a bin almost like you see for the Planet Aid. And I was just wondering, he wants to schedule a meeting with me to discuss it, but I didn't know if this was something that you might consider placement of over the recycling center. There is a constant draw for people looking to figure out how to dispose of their clothing. Sometimes it just ends up in the landfill.
That was my question. Is it like, do they recycle even clothes that you would just throw away? Or is it just clothes that you're trying to give to, like, gently worn?
They repurpose it all.
So like, your socks with holes in them,
They probably don't want.
no, or
No, they
repurpose,
they
so it
repurpose.
like gets like
recycled.
rematerialized or whatever. Oh, that's awesome.
My only concern is when you see the Planet Aid boxes, which maybe if it's at the recycling center.
There's always stuff on the outside that doesn't belong.
It's
Right.
just for clothing.
And that's why I was questioning whether it would be a good place to have it over there, but since that's where everybody's recycling and getting rid of their.
And I think
Well-
with his active eyes on it, because
I mean, he did write in his letter here that we provide the bins at no cost to the town at our service locations, a minimum of once a week.
right.
So if you guys would do, I mean, you could do a 6-month thing and just see how it works out, and if he's not upping his bargain, ship it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no sense not, I mean,
Yeah.
there's no reason to not try it.
Right, no. I mean, I
You
know
know.
that they're looking at, in New Hampshire, with different ways to recycle mattresses and things like that too, so. Any way that you can
I mean, that is the whole,
decrease what we're throwing away.
that is the whole recycling
we're paying
center.
for it. Right.
Let's not go away from our cause. Only been around for 70 years or whatever, so.
So I'm sure he has other options for locations throughout town, but as far as the town is concerned, I don't know that it would be something that I would welcome here, but I think it would be appropriate to have at the recycling center. So with that being said, I'm happy to meet with him, or if you want to have me invite him to a meeting in the future.
I'm comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
as long as he's good, the guys down there tell him where they want it, so it's out of the way. You know, for plowing purposes, for whatever they need to make sure it's not. And again, for like 6 months is how I'd explain it to him, say, we'll do a practice thing, and
All right.
I
sounds
think
good.
just one, yeah, having it other place in town would just be,
Yeah. If it's not monitored, I think that's what ends up happening.
What's the name of
and that's what's nice, at the dump, you only get your certain times and it's there.
Apparel impact.
What is it called?
Apparel impact.
Thank you. I just threw a couple scraps away.
Lori Anderson,
Check this sock, I'm just kidding.
Check my socks. My socks are getting a little.
All right.
there was an email from Lori Anderson back on January 15th. It was between her, myself, and the election officials, and based on the poll taken, we changed the location of voting and deliberative session here to the community center. I think we already discussed that. And then Jason Tremblay, who's our contact at New Hampshire DOT regarding Nottingham Project 40612, which is the 152 over North River Bridge replacement. They have been delayed, or the right-of-way acquisitions that they've been working on have taken longer than expected and actually delayed their advertising for the construction phase of the project. So right now, they think that that window's too narrow, and their original plan, 28-day closure of the road for the bridge replacement has been postponed until the summer of 2026. It will take place after school closes, as it was originally planned for 2025. So they'll be updating us on that as things progress, but they're not going to be progressing for this year.
Yeah, it was one of the ones I couldn't open.
Okay. And that is all I have. I did want to just make the general announcement that today is the last day for the official posting of the town budget and the warrant. So as you're going through and making recommendations, we need to finalize that tonight. So no pressure, but
We will get it done.
yes.
Everybody good?
Yep.
Okay. Will we be going to, oh, there's one on top, that on top, sorry. We already did assessings. Done through, action items from last, we already talked about the Raymond Road thing.
Yeah, that was the other.
That's pretty much there. All right, we get to go to the budget and warrant articles and the fun stuff.
Yep.
Would you like me just to read through them all for you guys, and we'll just go down one by one to vote?
Yep.
Okay?
By one.
Do you want to, while you're going through each individual one, do you want to choose your
Assignments.
assignments as well?
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
So, when you get going, can I come up and ask one question?
Sure.
Thought I might yell from the back corner, make you feel more at home, but,
Prefer you not to, but that's great.
you know, we'll get there. I didn't catch this until the school warrants came before us 2 nights after we looked at the town warrants, and there's a difference in the way that they are written, where the school warrants tell you the tax impact if it's not voted on. The town warrants do not do that. I don't know if that is an administrative change at this point, or if it's more comprehensive and is not allowed, but it would just be something I would encourage the board to look at, potentially adding to these, 1, for consistency, and 2, for additional clarity. If you look at, say, the operating budget, it says the impact if this passes is $3.05, I believe.
6, we're close, yep.
I almost memorized it, $3.06. It doesn't tell you what the impact is of the default. I think that's valuable information to voters. And that is on the school, the way that their warrants are written. So it was something I think, and I don't know if there's a legalese to this, but something I thought that might be worth considering.
You're also bringing this up because if we are to do this, you know, you show a estimated tax compared to the default budget to be $2.89, you might get a better chance of having the community vote for the regular budget.
I may or may not have calculated it $2.95 today.
I was pretty good. I'm just sorry. Just
Not bad for a guess.
I'm just saying.
And
so-
the other reason I ask about this is in thinking about how I wanted to present the budget, I'm not gonna be doing a line-by-line reading this year. I don't think that is as formative as it should be. Everybody's gonna get the packet and they can read line by line if they want to. My thought is the highlights and the high points, but I think that explaining the impact, the total impact, and then normalizing that number for folks, I think helps. So either providing a summary of, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, this is what a 10 cents item means for you, or something like that on an annual basis. So people understand and appreciate that value. It's not just something like 305 per 100,000, which is a bit abstract, I think. For some folks, I think more of a hard concrete number would be helpful. So my thought is to try to, when I'm doing the presentation in the beginning, do a little bit better of a verification. I also looked up the assessing records today in town and figured out median, and then 10, 25, 75, and 90% rates and potential impacts. I'm still kind of waffling with how I might want to present that. I thought I'd open that up to you guys for your thoughts. But I think providing sort of a range and some meaningful numbers helps people better understand and appreciate exactly what we're talking about. If we don't provide that context, I don't think it's as easy for people to make educated, informed votes. So, just my 2 cents before you get into it, something I wanted to add to the docket. Happy to throw grenades at the last second, because that seems to be this year's theme, but we'll put Ellen on the spot and see what we can get away with. Sorry, Ellen.
So you were close. 285 is the default budget. We can
Almost.
add that in there.
Did you say 286?
I think I was pretty. Hey, it doesn't matter.
You already did the math, didn't you? I did bad math. I did proportional. That's my
It
problem.
sounds like it's just administrative anyway.
It does. So there was a warrant article that was passed to include the tax impact for all warrant articles. It doesn't say whether or not it's, if it does not pass. I don't know obviously that would change the structure of the town warrant that we have to post tonight. So I don't know if it's something that you would want to include in like a voter's guide or some type of,
I do feel like this came up a year or two because we used to do it. And I feel like, I'm not positive, maybe I have to call legal because I feel like it was said that it's not part of the legal warrant to put it on there. Like you can't have it on there. So if the school's doing it, they may be the one who leads the conversation. I don't know.
Hopefully I didn't
But
just
if-
throw the
Don't tell me
school
that,
board
but I
under
do
the
remember
bus.
this coming up before, because once upon a time we did do it, and people said, why aren't we doing that anymore? And maybe it was when we switched from town meeting to
SB2.
Yeah, but,
That, I know that, well, some are still town meeting.
but it wouldn't have mattered before SB2 if it doesn't pass.
Yeah,
don't know, something to do with like it couldn't.
I mean, you are voting for, you're either voting for money A or money B. So one way is, do you want your tax to be A or B? I could see on the first one, it being, the other one, it's either you are paying or it's zero.
Or it's zero, which is what the vast majority of the school ones are. It's either a number or zero, or if there's just a zero, that's all it says. But it struck out as noticeable to me as I started putting the presentation together that the school is structured differently.
They have the like, this would be like 0.6 cents per thousand written on, how did they have it? Did they have that full verbiage? I feel like
Yeah.
that was the.
Yeah, they put it in parentheses.
But what we're talking about now is basically adding that, what the default budget would be.
Essentially, it's the only one that's not an all or nothing.
Yeah, and I think that's a simple enough add.
That's, you know,
I think that meets what the warrant articles hit.
Mm-hmm.
We want to know the tax impact. The default budget is a tax impact.
Yes.
well, it's one way or other, it's coming, so, I mean.
There's something, it's not $3 or zero. And I wouldn't want people to think that that's what the variation is, that the 305 represents the differential or something.
No, they think
Where
it's zero.
all of the other ones, it does represent the differential.
Correct.
Thanks, Owen.
Thank you, Owen. All right, so.
Giddy up.
I'm gonna go through and I'll read them. Starting with, we're gonna start on Article 7.
Who will be reading Articles 2 through 6? Is that us, or will the moderator be reading 2?
Oh, you wanna start? Okay,
Those technically aren't addressed at deliberative session. She talked about,
Do you have
potentially.
to read them at all, though, or not?
No.
Never mind.
No, it's, the warrant starts out by saying that the first session, which is deliberative session held on Saturday, February 1st, is for explanation, discussion, and deliberation on warrant articles numbers 7 through 26.
Article 7.
Okay, so, you guess, here's, just thinking out.
Owen.
Does anybody want, yeah.
Right.
Do you wanna do a practice run and say who wants to read Article 7? You can read it right now as your practice run, or do you want me to just go through and read them? And we'll just pick and go.
Give you numbers for it.
7's
I
Owen.
mean, I'm just saying, what?
7's Owen, right?
Right.
But one of us probably needs to read it and then hand it to Owen.
Oh, okay. Chairman.
So Article 7, shall the town raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles or other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by vote of the first session for the purpose set forth therein, totaling $5,057,788. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $4,887,584. What?
You read 887, it's 878.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Correction made there. Which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous actions of the town or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40, colon 30, 10, and, what's that, 12, 16? To take, sorry, lost those numerals back. To take up issue on the revised operating budget. Vote by the select board for recommendations. Everybody all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Select board recommends this 5-0. That's why I need my glasses.
And John, you're reading that?
Yep.
Are you gonna read that one, Joe?
Yeah, I'll practice a couple times before so I make sure I don't,
All right.
how come I get the
So-
first one?
Can we put, so can we put the estimated impact? It doesn't-
Yes, so, under,
Do you want me to read that one, John?
Budget committee usually.
The budget committee and the total?
Right. It's usually what happens,
Actually,
isn't
I
it?
usually read it and then one of you presents it, so usually I read.
Oh, if you're gonna read it, then I
You gonna read
I
them
think
all?
that's what we do. I
Yeah.
think I usually
Correct.
read them and then.
I think we've been enough of these things that we memorize this stuff by now, right?
We all know how this works.
Usually it's Friday that I remind myself what I'm doing.
So if you're gonna read them all, then
Yeah, usually I read them and
You
then I
present it, the backstory information.
go to
Right.
the-
We always do the presentation. Well, Owen's gonna, okay, scratch,
So-
it's gonna be Owen.
So technically, if there's anything that's deferred to the Board of Selectmen on this article, it should be Tim as the Budget Committee representative for the Board of Selectmen, correct?
Okay, we'll slash that, Owen and Tim. Perfect.
Just saying.
Impressive.
You didn't even see that one coming.
It will technically be the Budget Committee presenting the article, but if there's anything deferred to the Selectmen for response, then it would be Tim because he was the Select Board's Budget Committee representative.
Okay.
Sorry, Tim.
Makes sense.
Just making sure we get these technicalities all taken care of tonight, so no issues for later on.
Okay, and then just to note for the record, the estimated tax impact if this article does not pass is 2.848 per thousand of property valuation. I'm adding that to the warrant.
2.848?
2.848, correct.
Can you make it
2.85?
2.85?
We sure can.
Give me fractions of a penny, and then be all undone.
2.85?
No, those are coming up on Article 9.
Okay, can we go on to Article 8?
Yep.
All right, good to see.
So Dawn's reading this one too. Dawn's
Yeah.
reading them all.
Yes, I read them, but then I defer to whoever.
Okay.
I'm just reading them out right now, so people hear it, and then we're voting on it, so
Yeah,
so
I'm
people
not
know
reading
what
it.
we're doing. Right. Got that. Thank you guys for that information. All right, Article 8, see if the town will vote to raise the appropriate sum of $45,000 for the purpose of purchasing the necessary fuel supplies, equipment, and maintenance to run the ambulance and billing service for 2025, and to authorize the withdrawal of $45,000 from the ambulance and equipment replacement special revenue fund created for this purpose. Majority vote required. Board of Selectmen right now, all in favor of this? Aye. 5-0, perfect. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $30,000 to be added to the fire vehicle SCBA Capital Reserve Fund previously established, sorry. Majority vote required. All in favor, guys? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed, 5-0.
Can you back up and to Article 8 and choose somebody to speak on that?
Oh,
Department head?
Fire Chief?
Who? Fire chief.
I think he'd be the best qualified.
Right.
Thank you.
Who'd you choose?
The Fire Chief.
Same on 9.
if Matt doesn't, I'll speak towards him, if he, for some reason,
I can speak to him.
or you can speak for him. One of us will do it. These are pretty much,
Matt or Matt?
right, but I mean, they're the same things every single year, so.
Right.
Yes, we'll have that all.
Okay, we're gonna move to Article 10, to see if
Did we
the,
do 9 already?
Yes.
Yep.
yeah. Guys are gonna screw me all up here. All right, Article
Keep
10,
jumping around.
to see if the town will vote to appoint the select board as agents to expend from the fire vehicle SCBA Capital Reserve Fund previously established by 2005. Now, why doesn't that say the,
So this is a housekeeping, when that capital reserve fund was established, there was no agents to expend on it, so this is a housekeeping item.
So it's the one right above it.
Does it need
Correct.
recommendations? It doesn't, does it? It's no money.
We have to give recommendations on spending.
Right.
right,
There's no spending. This is
Right.
just
No,
allowed to be agents, and it's more if it was,
so one of us will, does anybody want to say if somebody has a question about it? It's just housekeeping, I mean, it's pretty much, I think we could wing Article
Is that
10.
Matt and Matt again?
Yeah, sure, congratulations.
great.
Yeah. All right, Article 11, to see if the town will vote to raise the appropriate sum of $10,000 to be added to the police technology equipment expandable trust fund previously established. Tax impact is 1 cent. Select board, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then we'll put that over there to Fawn, since we're gonna throw it to Matt, we'll give it to her too. I didn't think there was gonna be an objection, so. All right, Article 12. To see if the town will vote to raise the appropriate sum of $285,000 for the highway reconstruction and maintenance work on town roads to include but not limited to Lucas Pond, Stevens Hill, Deerfield Road, and all other roads in Nottingham if priority arises. This is a non-lapsing appropriation per RSA 32, colon 7, is that 6?
Yep.
6, and will not elapse until the work is complete or not later than 1 year after the end of the 2025 fiscal year, whichever occurs first. All in favor, say aye.
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 Steve gonna be there? Slash John.
Steve, I guess. Steve better show up.
Steve and John Decker, correct. He will be there.
Stephen
Yeah, they're
Decker.
roads. We need to pave some roads.
Right.
But if we don't pay them, how about the next one? We grade them.
Okay, yes, on to our grader. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to raise the appropriate sum of $464,000 to purchase a new grader for the highway department, and to authorize the withdrawal of $282,000 from the Highway Capital Reserve Fund established for this purpose. The balance of $182,000 to come from unassigned fund balance. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Now, who wants to speak to that one?
I guess Steve and I are good.
I have a quick question on this one, though. If you look at Article 8, it says estimated tax impact is 0 per 1,000. This one says there is no additional tax impact if this article passes. Is there,
Because it's coming from,
Because it's coming
does
from
it have to
unreserved
say
fund
in
balance.
one format or the other? Does it have to say the impact is $0, or can the other one say there is no, I'm just asking
Yeah,
for
no,
format.
that's a great question.
Oh, there's,
We're not consistent.
Right.
I will change it to be consistent with the rest of them.
I'm just asking it. Sometimes these things are delineated. I don't want it to be a,
no, you're right. Like an Article 8, I got you.
I think the reason why it was saying that there was gonna be no tax impact, because the use of unreserved fund balance, that tax impact has already taken place in a prior year to build the unreserved fund balance, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But because it is split between unreserved fund balance and capital reserve fund expenditure, I think it's probably safe just to keep it consistent with the rest.
so say 0.
Yeah.
Article 14, to see if the town will vote to raise the appropriate sum of $70,000 to be added to the Highway Capital Truck Reserve Fund previously established. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed.
Steve and John?
Yeah.
Article 15, to see if the town will vote to appropriate the select board as agents to expend from the highway truck capital reserve funds previously established in 1984. No vote required.
Majority.
Oh, sorry.
not our vote.
No vote for us.
Not even that late, John.
It's a long weekend. Majority vote required. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to raise the appropriate sum of $18,000 to be added to the town building maintenance and repair expendable trust fund previously established. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None? Article 17, to
Who's
see
going
if,
to speak to that? Timothy?
it doesn't matter.
Don't matter.
Let's go Steve.
Sure.
Perfect. Mr. Welch. All right, Article 17, to see if the town will vote to raise the appropriate sum of $10,000 to be added to the invasive species prevention and eradication removable expended trust fund previously established. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? None?
Any takers?
I can't, doesn't somebody from PLA?
PLA usually does, and,
So I can reach out to Tom Duffy and Neil Santos and see if they'll,
yeah, and I
Okay.
can,
They'll probably be there for 18 anyway.
I can back them up as well.
Okay.
For, as a select board person, but.
okay.
John's a light guy.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of my last days, so I don't want to put stress on me. Article 18, so, just kidding.
We really want to lay the stress on you that day.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll be there.
Presenting that one?
What?
17?
We're gonna ask Playa, and then John Decker will back up.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, so Dawn, you can speak to that.
we'll take you out of that role for that day. All right, Article 18, moving on. See if the town will vote to raise the appropriate sum of $100,000 to hire a certified lake management engineering firm to study conditions to provide design solutions related to reducing external and internal phosphates loading and to implement, God, I'm freaking great tonight, and remediation projects to Pawtuckaway Lake. Further, to authorize the issuance of not more than $100,000 of bonds or notes in accordance with the provisions of the Municipality Finance Act, RSA 33 as amended, and to authorize the Select Board to issue and negotiate such bonds and notes and determine the rates of interest thereon. Further, to authorize the Select Board to offset a portion of said appropriations applied to the Clean Water State Revolving Fund loan. It will be understood that the repayment of the loan may include up to 100% principal forgiveness. A 3 to 5 ballot required. 3/5, got it. Moving on. Select Board recommendations.
Who's doing that one? Aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
and PLA and me, I guess.
There you go.
Ooh, good stuff. This is Tim, you can explain these better than.
This is petition, this is city stuff to talk about.
Okay.
We don't need to vote on those.
So we don't talk about 19, 20.
Petitioner,
petition.
Yeah, these are all,
19, 20, and 21.
petitioner should speak to those.
Yeah.
do I have to read them all, or can I just go to 22?
No, I think you just have to do the ones we have to vote on. We skipped 1 through 6.
Say it again? I'm sorry.
We're not providing a vote. I think you can
Right.
skip them because they're
Right.
already set. We can't change them.
They're up for deliberative session.
But they don't need a,
Approval.
Right, they don't.
Yeah, but we're not voting on
I
them,
don't know if we have to read them as part of our.
not right now. No, that's
They're gonna be
Saturday.
posted after this meeting anyways. They're going on as written.
so we're just here for the votes.
Yeah, okay.
So just for the record, Article 19 is an amendment to the tax cap calculation. Article 20 is to accept Maple Ridge Road as a town-maintained road. Article 21 is to censure the law firm of Upton and Hatfield. And Article 22.
All right, to see if the town will vote to raise the appropriate sum of $120,000 for highway reconstruction and maintenance on Stevens Hill from Deerfield Road to the existing pavement. This is a non-lapsing appropriation per RSA 32:7, 6, and will not elapse until the work is complete nor later than 1 year after the end of the fiscal year 2025, whichever occurs.
What number is that, John?
This is number 22. This does have a tax impact on
Right.
it, so that's why we're voting on it.
So, but if we vote on this, it puts us over the tax cap.
We're not the budget committee.
Well, the budget committee,
So it doesn't matter for us?
Correct.
Or-
It's the budget committee's budget that is.
So that's nuance in
What
the
was
law.
that again, John?
It's a nuance in the law. The budget committee can't propose a budget. We're not. It's a,
John, what was that one again?
Article 22?
Yeah.
What do you want, for the citizen petition to put $120,000 into highway reconstruction on Stevens Hill from Deerfield Road to the existing pavement. Select Board decision, all in favor, say aye.
Wait a second. So is that one of the roads that we have?
It is, it's
It is.
included in the 285,000,
Okay,
So,
so it's redundant.
yeah, it's redundant. Okay, so I'm voting no.
I vote against.
so, we don't have any for. All against, say aye. Aye. Okay.
So that will change to the select board does not recommend.
Correct.
The citizen.
Petition.
It's a citizen petition. This is another one here, but it's a sum of money. Article 24, shall the town vote to raise the appropriate sum of $10,000 for the purpose of producing, printing, and mailing a volunteer community newsletter to Nottingham residents? This sum of this appropriation is set to offset by advertising revenues and donations received for this purpose. This is a citizen petition. Yeah, that's what I said, right. I was against this when I said at the budget meeting the other night, so. Is all in favor of this, say aye?
I would support it.
I can't wish you on it.
There's just one?
I said no because of the fact that even though Facebook's not a reliable source by any source, I mean, we do have our town website out there. We do have, I mean, there's more information out there now. The community letter comes out, it's all old news anyways.
Typically by the time it comes out.
Yeah, it's,
I mean, I like when they do, you know,
Meet the candidate.
the candidate stuff, right? That I think is really important to get out there. Unfortunately, that won't happen for this year. But, and it, you know, that's, 10,000 is way more than they need for that probably, but, I mean, I can understand them wanting to do the newsletter again.
Right, could be biannual.
Yeah, this was based upon quarterly.
Right.
any more in favor of this?
I would vote yes.
You're two, okay.
Against?
I'm against.
I'm kind of torn. I gotta just abstain.
I'll vote yes. I'll go with the other.
2-2-1?
No, I said yes. So that's your yes,
You yes? Oh, 2.
So
3-1-1?
you're a no.
3-1-1.
3-1-1? 3-1-1, all right.
Let's make this really complicated.
Complicated on this one. Yeah.
There it is, Don. There's your one everybody's gonna fight over.
So you're gonna make John defend this one, or?
Yeah, I'll speak up about it. I'm a good.
Oh, I had the abstainer, sorry.
Yeah, perfect.
Whatever.
Sounds better for me.
It's like, I'm, if you
Charlotte.
do it,
You know who all the citizen petition?
Well,
if the town votes for it, great. If they don't,
Right,
you know,
it's up to the voters.
right, exactly. I'm not committed one way or another.
Oh, you're asking who's like 19?
Is 19, yeah, 19, is that, was that a citizen?
that's
Yep.
citizen petition.
Do you know who the petition?
Sandra Jones.
I assume the same people from last year for Maple Ridge.
I don't know, Spanian would have backed out.
That was Antonio. I can send you copies of the petition articles
Yeah, that'd be good.
with the contacts.
And contacts.
23.
23.
Is it the same? No, it's just two. I hope that they explain it.
Sandra Jones was the last one as well, correct? 25?
There's a 26 also. 25.
I don't have any information on here who wrote them, so I can't tell
These
you.
were all Sandra Jones, if I remember correctly.
I believe you are correct. I don't have a copy of Article 23 with me. I can only assume the first person that signed the petition. is the petitioner, but if that's the case, then the elderly exemption would be Peter White, as well as the disability exemption criteria change.
It's the first signer.
But Sandra Jones was second, so perhaps they were hers.
Cool. Done.
Okay,
think this will go quick
the
with
only
this.
other question that I had for you. Any amendments to the police special detail, special revenue fund that was established and found in 2023 that has a $40,000 cap and requires legislative body approval? Any amendments to that require a public hearing prior to? And I didn't know if you wanted to move forward with changing the purpose, rescinding it, scheduling a hearing, or holding it over until we have a better idea what we can use the fund for future year.
I think option C, because based upon kind of what she said too, it sounds like our timing is a little tight. And there's.
We would have to have, we can't get the warrant on here tonight
Right.
without having a public hearing.
So
Exactly.
we have to postpone.
Okay. Okay. So if you could make a motion to sign the town warrant, I would also require you to make a motion to sign the default budget, the MSDTB, so we can get those posted.
Do you have to make a motion?
What's that? The regular budget is the budget committee.
Do we have to say a motion or just sign it?
Just sign it.
You say make a motion, so I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
The health officer and the fire chief? The reappointments?
Correct. They're both, I believe the health officer just lapsed last week, and,
For those,
correct,
can there be one motion?
yes.
All right, I'll make a motion to reappoint Matt Curry as fire chief and Dale Silva as health officer.
Second?
Everybody hear that? So there's a motion on the floor to reappoint Matt Curry as fire chief of the town of Nottingham and to reaffirm Dale Sylvia as our health officer.
Awesome.
And seconded.
Second.
And it's been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, anything else?
Just for housekeeping on the tax warrant, I did, for matter of rounding, I did go to the thousandth on some of them. Do you want me to just round them up so it's to the penny? Like Article 9, I had the estimated tax impact is 0.036. I can just round it up to 0.04? Or do you want me to leave it at the thousandth?
Round it up anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it might as well be the penny.
I don't know why we've always done that.
I think there was always the question of like, when it comes to a penny, it could be like closer to the penny, or is it closer to the 2 cent?
How much a penny impacts and it just makes you feel better.
Thank you, I appreciate that, Owen.
He's got the signed copy going down. That's that one too.
apologize, I misunderstood Owen's question before about the tax valuation being printed. I thought what he was saying is, because I haven't really looked at anything, that it wasn't on any of them. I think the legal question that came up at some point is, does that sentence need to be in the actual writing of the warrant? Do you remember what we did last year, as opposed to put, because if it's just on the bottom, it can't print on the top? There was an issue at some point with that. I don't recall when, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, like when you read it, and then you say the tax impact of this article is this.
Right, I thought it had to be in the actual paragraph of the warrant.
Do you want to have the last?
I think it has to be on the town warrant, but I don't
Town
know if it
report.
has to be on the ballot.
That's what I was referring to, does it have to be,
He sometimes has a
in
town.
order for it to print on the ballot, does it have to be in the warrant's actual writing as opposed to row from the bottom? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I couldn't pull up last year's ballot to see.
And public comment.
No, I have a spot.
I thought that's what he was asking about.
Let me see if I can pull it.
Steve can't sit no more.
Is this a question that has to be answered right now for us?
No,
Or-
it was just,
Okay, good, so we can just go there, okay. Any public comment? Before we go to our non-public? Seeing none? Good night, Nottingham. We will see you all on Saturday, 9 a.m.
I make a motion to move into non-public RSA 91-A:32, A, C, E, and L.
Second?
Roll call vote.
Aye, Steve Welch.
Hi, John Decker.
Aye, John Moran.
Hi, Tim DeBrio.
I'm Matt Sherlin.
Once we leave non-public, we'll be closing the meeting and adjourning. Thank you, Nottingham.